Hello, everybody. My name is Mandy Tice, and I am substituting in for Eric this week while he was away at Winter Art Escape in Florida. And today, my guest is Lon Brauer. Lon, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mandy. It's good to see you.
Great to have you here.
And we've never had an opportunity to meet, and I've heard your name bantered around, and now we finally get to put a voice with names. All good. So.
Oh, much appreciation to you, Lon. I'm so excited to be working with you as well today because I hear that you're doing something extraordinarily ambitious to teach us about today. So what is it that you're going to teach us?
Well, okay, so here's the deal. I'm primarily an oil painter. I've been doing that for years and years, and recently I've taken up pastel, and I really kind of enjoy it. And I found that in working in pastel, it tends to talk to me about what I'm doing as an oil painter. And then when I'm painting in oils, then I go back and I think, okay, I'm doing oils now. How does that relate to what I do in pastel? So it's two mediums talking to each other. And I think we do that probably more often than we really know, even though we may only have one primary. We always have these other things in the background that are informing how we approach what we're doing.
Absolutely. Well, we're so excited to learn with you today, and we'll get started here soon.
It's Art School Live with Eric Rose.
Hello, everybody. Again, my name is Mandy Tice. I am your guest host this week while our dear friend Eric is away. And today, my guest host is Lon Brauer, and he's going to show us how pastel and oil connect. Lon, take it away.
All right. Well, I tell you what, we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to switch cameras here and go right over to my easel. Bear with me here. Let's see here. Oh, it's amazing when that happens. I just love that. So, all right, let me get that out of the way. So if you see anything out of the order, if I see my head gets in the way or my arms gets in the way, just let me know and I will make an adjustment. But I think I've got it pretty well worked out.
Excellent.
All right. Well, I'm going to go over here. Check my sound too. Can you hear me over here all right?
Yep, you are good to go. Yes.
Well, I want to start with I'm working from a reference photo that I took down in Big Bend National Park, which is down in the southwest corner of Texas. I go down there with a bunch of folks known as the Rattlesnake Gang. In fact, we go down there in February every year, and I'm hitting the road in 2 days going down there.
And
it's an interesting. I'm sorry.
The Rattlesnake Gang. That's such a great name.
It is a good. We've been doing this for almost 10 years now, and the group we've had people come in and go out. But it's a fun time. We're down there for 4 or 5 days. We paint, we eat too much, we talk, all kinds of stories, and we play some music and all that kind of stuff. And it's just a great way to get together and tell you, I'm in Illinois, and to go that far south to get out of the snow and the ice in February is fabulous. So. This it's desert down there. It's the 𝗖𝗄𝗄𝗆 Mountains. That's what we're seeing back up here. But then a lot of this flat area where you have just desert gravel, stones, yuccas and mesquite and that sort of thing. This particular image that I picked, it was one of those. I think this was last year, and we had a lot of cloudy days. Well, it's very flat to begin with because of the lack of color, but when you've got an overcast day, that makes things even more flat. So what I did was I took this image and I took a photo with my phone, and then I went in and I cropped it and did some editing on it. And I would recommend that anybody who's doing this, we all carry phones now. So take a reference photo and go into the editing program in your phone and punch the color a little bit, or punch the contrast. That's what I've done here, because this area here was really flat, and so when I punched the contrast, I brought this, lightened this up, darkened that down, which made it a little bit more of an interesting image. The thing that when I look at something like this, I have to ask myself, what is this painting about? What do I want to have be the main player? And what do I want to have everything else needs to be subordinate. So in this particular case, we've got the mountain, obviously. That could be our main player. But I really am intrigued by this area through here where it's light. So we really have two players, this one and this one. If you think of it like a stage play, you have your main actor, you have your supporting actor, and then you have your chorus line. And you have to maintain that hierarchy in a painting, because it can't be about everything. It has to be about one thing only, and that so that your eye goes to whatever that thing is. And oftentimes I'll see people will say, students particularly will have, they have this thing and this thing and this thing. It's like you have the barn and you have the tree and you have the tractor and you have the farmer and you have the dog and you have the cow and you have the fence, and everything has the same amount of significance in the painting. Then in the painting's about nothing. So you really have to make a choice. So I can make two paintings. I can make it about this, and then I can make another painting that's about the mountains. And I think in this particular case, like I said, I really like this area through here. So if I'm going to do that, then I'm going to have to take that mountain and either drop it back in value, or I can squeeze it. Or there's another problem we're running into with this mountain, because it's like this. It's going to take our eye off the page this way. But if we were change that mountain, change the shape of it like this, then the V is going to be coming in. It's going to point into this area that I really want to have the emphasis on.
I love the way that you're thinking about your composition, this analogy to a play and a stage, that you have, your chorus, you have your main actor, and that everything can't be equivalent at once.
Exactly. It has, you have to, I think, and it takes time. When you first start out, you just want to paint everything. But I think when you start, after you've done it a while, you start strategizing and figuring out, okay, what is it I really want to try to accomplish with this? I can copy this photograph exactly. I've done this enough for long enough that I could do that. But that's not what a painting is about. A painting is something beyond a photograph. How can we bring something new to the table with the particular materials that we're going to work with? So the first thing I would do is, I'll put this up here. Hold on. I'll just clip it on like that. The first thing I would do, and I recommend everybody do this, you carry a sketchbook with you and do a notan. That's the first thing to do. Do just a rough sketch so you can see what your composition is going to be. So, we're going to let's just put our horizon about here. Let's just go ahead and I'm going to put 2, 2 of them right here. Let's put our horizon about a third of the way up. Now, if I took it and put the mountain in, I would do this, and then there's some yucca plants in the corner. There's some more here, and then there's a little bit of vegetation going through here. And on the other one, the other option is, as I was saying, I could change the mountain entirely. Now, yes, I'm taking liberties, but I can do that. It's a painting. I can do anything I really want to. So I still have the yucca plants in the foreground. And there's some more over here. And again, some of this stuff going on. So by doing that, what I end up with is this one's going to be more, all of our interest is going to be in this area. If I do this with this, again, like I was saying, our eye tends to do this. And these are going to tend to come up. Everything's going to kind of go up and off. And this is going to be our center of interest, but we also still have this. So there's a competing thing going on here. So this is going to be my plan. And let's see, let's see if we can do another one. What if we took the mountains all the way up and had very little sky? That's a possibility as well. You have to be careful too. I'm putting these yucca plants in the corner. I have to make sure that they don't mirror each other, because it becomes like gargoyles. So, I might make this over here in this corner have a little bit more weight. And
your brain is so interesting, the way that you're thinking about this composition, the gargoyles, obviously your embracing of the freedom of being a painter versus a photographer. I love hearing these statements from you, and how it's think differently about these elements that many of us have seen with our eyes, but haven't thought of in this new way. So that's very
interesting. That's exactly the point. And again, I'm talking about thinking of this as a stage, and we're putting actors on a stage. This is an actor, this is an actor, this is an actor, and this is an actor. So and where we put them on this within this rectangle. I don't know if you know the term mise en scène. Have you ever heard mise en scène?
I have not.
Oh, it's mise en scène. What it is, it's a theatrical term. What it means is how you put things on into a stage, your actors, your props, your lighting, and depth of field and all those kinds of things. They use it in film all the time. And when we make a painting, we have this rectangle that we're working within. That is our stage, and how we build that stage is going to determine how much success we have with the painting. So that's that. Get that out of the way. Now, what I'm going to be talking about is all these different mediums that we're working with today, and I really was, when I first started thinking about this, I was talking about pastel and oil paint, how they relate to each other. Actually, this is another medium too. And this is just a wax pencil on paper. So I've already used one medium. So we take that one away. We'll throw this on the floor out of the way. Of course, this is a photograph, which is I throw things on the floor all the time. So
I love this. It's just aggressive art right at us. I love it.
I'll clean it up later. But this being a photograph, this is another medium. So I've got two mediums already that I've worked with to put this thing together. Now, boy, time's going to get away, so I got to get at this thing. All right. What I'm going to do. I'm new to pastel, so be kind to me. We'll see how this goes.
I'm not sure if this is true for others, but it looks like we are frozen.
We've got some stuff in here. What's nice about pastel is, even though pastelists, I found they get really kind of irked when you say, "Oh, it's a drawing, not a painting." They always say it's a painting, which it is, of course, but there's a drawing element in it that I just love. Drawing is kind of my thing anyway. And you'll see that when I start putting material down. And the other thing too, the other problem we have with this image is we've got bands of straight horizontals. We've got sky, we got mountain, we got foothills, we got grass, and then we've got yucca plants, and then we even got boulders. So it's stripe, 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 stripe. So I'm going to have to work around that and see if I can make it more interesting. The way I'm going to do that is by trying to incorporate diagonals so that if I have diagonals here, in fact, I'm going to put some, when I get into the sky, I'm going to have clouds that go this way. So we're going to have this Z shape, S shape, if you will, going all dancing through the composition. So I don't just have straight horizontal lines. Anytime you have, and when you paint landscapes, particularly if there's a lake, you often will have these bands of sky, and then a band of trees, and then a band of water, and then a band of moss or whatever it might be. When you do that, it can get very static. So if you can build in anytime you can put a diagonal into your composition, it's going to make it much more fun to look at.
Can you tell us a little bit about the surface that you're working on, Lon?
This is just this is a 400 grit sanded paper.
Okay.
This is the only paper that was recommended by several people that I know who are pastelists. I like it a lot, but they have different grits. You can get it much more coarse, or you can get it where it's very, very fine. And I haven't really experimented with that, and that's one of the things I want to do.
Well, you're getting some great love for your demo in the chat so far. Susan says, "I love your ideas, analogies, and energy!" Exclamation point.
Oh, yeah, one thing I want to show you. I'm just going to throw this up. I have a palette in mind of what I'm going to work with. Throw that up. These are my pastels that I've picked out. I've got a kind of a pile here. It doesn't mean I won't use some others, and some of these I may not have been used. But if you want to take, I think it's valuable to take the time and do that. We often don't. I don't. I usually just dive in because I kind of have done it enough times. But if you're new to this, just kind of lay out some colors that work together. It's a little bit like if you were going to paint the outside of your house. Get some paint swatches and just, and then put them up and see what looks good together. And you pull those colors out and put them in a box, and you're ready to roll. So you don't have to dig and hunt and dig for everything that you're going to use.
I love that.
All right, so
pastel almost like a palette on your, the way that you laid those out is almost the way you'd lay out paint on a palette for oil painting.
Exactly. Yeah. I usually lay in my darks first. I don't know what this is. This looks like a dark. It's probably a really dark purple. I'm just going to kind of put in some here. Wherever there looks like there might be some darks, I'm going to be going over it. The thing that's nice about pastel that is different than oil, as an oil painter, I might only have 6 to 8 colors of tubes of paint that I use, and I'm going to mix everything from that. With pastel, you don't do that. You know, you try to have a wide range of colors and values, and then you just look down and you say, what do I need? And you pick one up. And oh, you know, how wonderful is that?
It is wonderful. If you'd like to see more work by Lon, make sure to visit his website at 𝗠𝗲𝗱𝗂𝗺.com and his Instagram at Lon Brauer.
So I'm going to just lay in a little bit of. The thing I like about it too, like I said, you can say this is paint all day long because it is. It's pigment, but you know, you're putting paint. You're putting paint on as you would charcoal. I love vine charcoal and working with vine charcoal, and so I've done that over the years. And this is very similar to that. Right,
So we're just short of 10 minutes until the halfway point. You asked me to let you know about the halfway point, so about 10 more minutes.
I'm at the halfway point now?
No, you have 10 minutes until we're at the halfway point.
Oh, wow, I got plenty of time.
Okay. I mean, it looks like
The
you
other
have
thing about pastel, yeah, the other thing about pastel is you can do it so fast.
Yes. It's amazing watching you lay it down these colors.
The thing this is the way I work, and not everybody works this way. And you can do some amazingly detailed work with pastels. I don't work that way. I don't do it that way in my oil paint, and I don't do it with my pastels. I like to lay it down and leave it alone.
Mm.
So we're gonna kind of come in and put a little bit of this light, almost a gray purple, over the mountains. I'm really just sort of building things up right now. And let's get, what is that? Here's this color. You can lay color in and then come in over the top of it to a point. With pastels, if you overwork things, they will get muddy. And I think anybody who's worked with pastels will readily agree with that assessment. You know, it's a funny thing. You're going to see this image before I see it because I'm too close to it. When you're making something, oftentimes you don't see it. So when you step back, that you start understanding. Now I've got a variety of pastels here that I've picked up, different brands. Some are they're all soft, but some of them are a little softer than others.
Do you find that you prefer a softer pastel?
You know, if they're too soft, I don't. You would think that would be fabulous, but what happens because I tend to be a bit aggressive, as you can see. I just keep crunching them up until big pile of powder. And so I like to have a little bit more integrity to it to make it, you know, otherwise I'm just destroying it.
Sure. So just to clarify, these are dry pastels, not oil pastels, correct?
Well, these are dry pastels. Yes, exactly. I've worked with oil pastels as well, and that's another different animal.
You know, I thought you were crazy when you told me you were doing 2 paintings today. And then when I saw the size of this canvas, I thought you were extra crazy. And now seeing you lay this all in, it's starting to come together and really make sense. This
is I'm working on a 12 by 18, but it'll be cut down to a 12 by 16. You know, it's one of those things that you can be, if you're timid and tentative, it will, you know, it just takes a lot of time. I'd rather put it down and say, okay, that didn't work, and then get another panel and start another one. I think, but this is just the way I've learned how to work. I tend to do things in a very bold manner. Put it down. Feel confident about what you're doing. It may or may not work, but Again, I'm not making a photograph. So
yeah. I love the psychology of painting. So you would say that your psychological approach to painting is big, bold, get it down, don't be afraid to mess up. You can start over.
I think so. And the thing is, I work this way primarily because I am impatient. I'm terribly impatient. I'm already thinking about the next painting. I need to get this one done. So yes, my head is in this one and I want to make it look good. But, let's get it done. Life's too short. I was a photographer for many years, and when I quit doing that and went into painting, I thought, you know what, I got to get at this because, we only got so many years left.
Could you tell us a little bit about your painting journey? Like, how did you learn? How did you get into it? Who did you study?
I was a painter when I was a kid. I always did painting, and in fact, I did do pastels. I wasn't when I picked it up. I picked it up about 6 months ago. It wasn't completely brand new to it. Mm-hmm. But I went to school and I got a BFA in painting. Came out of school and I had to get a job, and I ended up at a photography studio doing catalog work, and that ended up being let's see, that one just crumbed. It was a 30-year gig. I did photography, and then things went from film to digital. I thought, okay, this is my time to step out of this and get back into the painting because that's really what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. Okay, now if I put blue up in the sky, I like to have some blue down here. There's no blue in there, but I know that if I put blue in here, you see, I can use a little bit of linear elements. That is going to pull this together. In fact, I can probably throw, if I want a little highlight in here, instead of using white, I can come in here with this blue.
Beautiful.
Make that work. And then just because I don't have, let's see, you try, just got a really orange here and see what happens if I put this in. Gotta be careful with it. Now, see, I can let this dance around and almost draw like a I always say like a 5-year-old. Just kind of think about and see, and because I've got this dark area, I can bring these, put some lines in here, and all this kind of describes those plants. It doesn't really talk to them exactly, but we understand what's going on. It's it's a symbol.
Sure. So you have 2 minutes until the halfway point.
Perfect. That's exactly what I need. So I'm going to do this. Tell me when it's
all the other artists we have on here are like, oh no, there's not enough time. And you're like, perfect. I'm just going to be more aggressive.
Yeah, let's see. I'm going to put just a little bit of, this is just white, and I'll just kind of go in here.
Jocelyn is saying that she likes this bold approach.
Okay, now that's enough. Is it a finished painting? I think it is. Is it detailed? No, that's not the point. And what I often do is like I said, this is a 12 by 18. So I cut it down to a 12 by 16. But a lot of times what I'll do is I'll put a smaller frame on it. So I've got a 9 by 12. So you can see it's smaller than the panel. And I can put this on here, and I can find the sweet spot. Maybe it's way over to the, which is, I guess it's to the right, to the left, come over to the right. Who knows? Maybe it even work this way. So you find out what works the best compositionally, and then cut off what you're not going to use. I mean, it's paper. Just cut it off and throw it away. Or if you're lucky, sometimes you can cut it right down the middle, and you get 2 paintings out of it. So something to consider.
It's amazing just seeing the frame on it, how finished it feels. I know so many students, in my online class that are like, I hate this painting. And I'm like, just put a frame on it and turn it against the wall.
Frame will help a lot. And I think when I'm doing plein air, when I'm out in the field, I will get it about 90% finished. And then I'll put, maybe not even that far. Actually, when I get to the halfway point, I often will put a frame on it just to see what it looks like. And then I can find out maybe I need a smaller frame. If I do, maybe I want to cut it down and I'll put it in a smaller frame. But when I get 90% done, I will put a frame on it. And I usually use a nice frame, not a beater frame. I want something that I have to keep the paint off of it. So if I'm going to work on this, You know, if I'm going to do a little bit more finishing detail on this, I can see it how it's going to be presented, and I can work on it, but I have to work on it in the center. I can't get up in the corners because I'll get paint on my frame. That makes me do all my finish work right in this area here. So just something to consider as well. I think carrying a frame with you is valuable. So.
Well, it is a big part of the finished vibe of a piece, right? You know, we don't hang paper on our wall; we hang framed things on our wall.
Exactly, it's really part of the whole package. So, how you frame it is going to.
Oh my gosh, you were a complete anarchist. You're taping or pinching that right on top of your pastel.
Oh yeah, the pastel will be fine. It's not gonna not hurt that. Okay, now I'm gonna go with oil. So we'll see how this works. I'm going to kind of start the same. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take a brush, and I'm going to pick up. Actually, just going to pick up black. So we're going to start this kind of the same way. The rule of thirds is, I think it's just kind of something that everybody should have in their lexicon.
So are you using any medium, or is this just dry paint?
You know what I'm doing is I'm mixing a little bit of safflower oil in with it. I use stand oil, which is linseed oil. It's a little sticky. So the safflower oil is just a little thinner. If I run it even thinner yet, I use mineral spirits. Gamsol would be the same kind of thing. You want to mix into your paint is always, it has a certain viscosity, a certain thickness to it. And you really have to experiment with what different mediums will do when you mix it in with the materials. You want to be able to work with it. You don't want to fight your paint.
Right. And just so everybody here knows, Lon's got some wonderful videos on painttube.tv, one on abstract figure painting and one on portraits painting with movement. So make sure to check those out.
Yeah, they're both figurative, but don't dismiss them just because you're a landscape painter, because there's a lot of good things in there. How I put paint on. You know what I'm going to do? I need a bigger brush. I'm going to use this sash brush. I got this at the hardware store.
I feel like if a painter's having a really hard time being too uptight, that they should definitely take a lesson from you.
That's the thing. Let's go ahead and let's just lay some of that in there. Now, right now, I always tell students when I do demos, I think, what is a painting? That's a painting. Here, let's pull a frame up. Is it a good painting? No, but it's a landscape. Actually, on the screen, it's really pretty good. So a lot of times we work way too hard. There's no sense in doing that. A lot of times we get to what is a really good painting very, very quickly. And then we go and we drive it into the ground.
I think we've all had that experience of,
I've known that because I've done it myself. Something in there. What's nice about this sash brush, I think this is 1.5 inches. Let's see if I get too much paint on. I can't tell you what it is, but I think it's about probably 1.5 inches.
I mean, how are you cleaning these brushes?
I'm using paper towels. Got a paper towel in my hand. Now so here's the downside. The thing that pastel works, how it works better than oil, is that you have a different stick for every color and every value. So everything you put down is clean. Well, when you work in oils, you know that keeping it clean is difficult because your brush, particularly if you're using the same brush over and over again, you can't get it clean.
Is this the same surface that you were using for your pastel, or is this a different surface?
No,
okay.
This is just a canvas panel I got at the art supply store. It's got a little bit of a canvas tooth to it. Okay, let's get some greens here. We'll mixed up a little green with some black. I'm just going to lay in some of my darks. And you can see how I can dance this thing around with my brush. Here, and then there's some of this in here.
Watching you paint, I see why when you discovered pastel, you loved it so much.
Yeah, it's so similar. The mediums are different, and one's wet and one's dry. But how do I put this? As a painter, I have methods of putting my material down, and I find that I use those same methods, basic methods, and I incorporate that into whatever medium I'm working with.
There's a little confusion in the chat about the surfaces. So I just want to clarify that he did the pastel on pastel grit paper 400.
It's a sanded paper. UArt is the brand. A lot of people use. There's several different brands that make sanded paper. It's basically like sandpaper that you get at the hardware store, and it's in different grits, meaning that the sand in the paper is it's either very fine or it's very coarse. And how coarse it is going to determine, when you put the pastel down, how much it grabs. Basically you're taking a piece of chalk, which I know pastel people don't like it, but essentially a dry material, and you're rubbing it across sandpaper, and that sandpaper is going to, it's going to abrade it off, essentially.
Sure.
Now, this panel, I usually work on plywood panels that I get at the hardware store. I just get plywood, I cut it to the size I want, and I gesso it, and so I'm working on surfaces that they're not super smooth, but they really are kind of smooth. This happens to have a little bit of a tooth to it. If I go small, the tooth of the canvas can show, and I'm not really enamored with that, but this has got kind of a fine tooth, so it's kind of nice. One thing I didn't show you, I wanted to show you my palette that I kind of have planned for my this is my oil palette, which is very similar to the pastel palette. So I've got these things sort of mixed up, little piles of this already mixed up on my palette. So that's what I'm digging into.
Could you tell us what colors you're using? There's questions in the chat about which paints you're using.
Which paints I'm using?
Yeah, like what are the pigments?
I'll be honest with you, I use a variety of brands, but I do use Winsor & Newton Winton paints, which they're student grade paints. They don't have quite the vibrancy that you would have like with Michael Harding or some of the higher end paints. So they're not quite the same kind of punch in color, but for what I'm doing, it doesn't matter. I'm not really concerned about that bright color. If I want something to punch at the end, then I will probably pull out a little bit higher grade paint, but I use a lot of paint.
I can see this.
I'm putting it down. Let's see, let me mix this up here quick.
I have never seen another demo quite like yours, where you are going for this big vision and like nothing's getting in your way, like not what paint is available to you, not what panels are available to you. You're just like a complete anarchist. I'm loving this.
Well, good. I'm glad. Now, when I get to this point where I've got things are kind of starting to lay up, I'm going to start looking at. I'm going to work now. I'm thinking as a pastel artist. I want to draw more than just laying in color. So I'm going to try to find ways to. Remember, I was talking about how we want to try to build in these diagonals into this composition. I just remembered I didn't put any clouds in that pastel. Let's just put them in here right now. Now I've got these angles going kind of this way, so I'm going to run. The clouds in this image they're really kind of running this way. I'm not going to try to do the overcast thing, but there's certain things you can do with clouds. This painting is not about clouds, but we can put a little indication of clouds. But what I'm using those clouds for is partly to break up that blue space. So it's not just blue, but I also want to have these directional lines that I'm going to be dancing through the composition. So
do you
I
think
can come back
with photography has impacted the way that you decide your compositions, or do you feel like it's a completely different game?
I think it does. I know one thing that I don't have any hesitance of using photographs as reference, and that's partly because I've done enough life drawing and life painting that I understand what's in the photo, even though they always say, and you'll hear Eric say this all the time, well, photography lies. Well, it does, but it's also, I'm not sure I wanted to do that, but it also is a graphic representation of reality that you can then draw on, no pun intended, as a means to understand what's out there. Because what I'm doing is, it's the other thing people get caught up in is you're thinking about, well, I'm painting a mountain and I'm painting the desert and I'm painting bushes. I'm not thinking that way. I'm looking at shapes and colors, and also I'm cognizant of how I'm cognizant of how I'm putting the paint on to describe this. So it's a language. We see things and it goes into our heads, and we say, okay, that's a mountain, this is grass.
Excellent.
But what the marks that we put down, that's the language, that's the vocabulary that we're going to use to make this thing work. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that Lon and 80 other instructors will be at PACE. So you can, there's a link in the chat if you would like to join PACE. There's going to be amazing instructors just like Lon sharing their talents with everybody.
It's big fun. It's a commitment that you have to make, but I think it's I've done a couple of them now, and I just really enjoy it. There's so much enthusiasm, and everybody's there just really wanting to learn new things and hobnob with everybody else. So it's just a fun experience. I need to see if I can get. This is the kind of thing that oil is. It is a different kind of vocabulary than the pastel. So I'm going to slow myself down just a little bit here.
Well, you have about 15 minutes to work.
15 minutes?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right. See, but you can see kind of where I'm going with this. I can say, well, that looks actually might be somewhere in there, might be good. So put that, set that aside. All right. Now, the thing about oil that is not like pastel is that, like I said, we're picking up paint with your brush. And when you do that, your brush is not completely clean. So your sky is not going to be pure, and and some of these colors are not going to be pure because they're, you're working with a dirty brush. So the way you can come out to combat that is you can put your paint on with a palette knife. Now I like to do a combination of brush, use the brush to block it in. Then I can come in with a palette knife and I can get pure color. So because I can clean my palette knife off as I work. So I don't want to make all my marks this way. So I want to come in and dance them this way. Do that. And I do some things. The great thing about oil is you put it down, it doesn't work. You can always wipe it off. Take that off. And I do that. I was teaching someone once, and I said, now we're going to put the paint on. That looks good. Now we're going to take the paint off. And she said, well, we need to take it off. I said, we're going to take it off. We're going to scrape it off. And then we're going to put it back on. She said, what? That's nuts. And I said, well, me too.
That's really building up your bravery as an artist, I think, when you're willing to take those types of risks.
You know what it is? It's building confidence. And you can only do that from doing a lot of work, making a lot of mistakes. But you have to, you start realizing certain things work, certain colors work together, certain marks work together, and certain ones don't. And the ones that don't do those.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that work.
You make painting seem so simple and straightforward. Yeah. Use the ones that work, don't use the ones that don't. I love this.
It's not, of course, but at the same time, it kind of is. So,
all at the same time.
I wrote an article a while back and I was talking about how you think like a 5-year-old. A 5-year-old, you give them a piece of paper and a crayon, and they just go at it until they don't want to do it anymore, and they go to do something else. They don't think about an end product. They're just moving material around. And we as adults, of course, we've learned that, no, we have to make something. And when you do that, you get caught up in all the, well, I might make the wrong, I might make the wrong mark. It might be the wrong shape. It might be the wrong color. Forget that. Just put it down. It's not brain surgery. Nobody's going to die. And, if it works, great. If it doesn't, that's kind of why I like to work fast too, is that when you get out, like I said, if it's not going to be any good, okay. I haven't invested my whole life into it. Now, when I do larger figurative pieces, I do a lot of figurative work. When I do, I will often spend, I might have, I don't know, 20 hours into a painting. That's rare that I'll put 20 hours in a painting. If I can't get a painting done in 6 hours, then there's something wrong. But if you have a large composition, sometimes you might end up spending some time, and that's okay. But when you're learning, particularly if you're doing plein air, you're out in the field, you don't have time to agonize over everything. The sun's going to move.
Absolutely.
Again,
is it fair to say that you harness your childhood joy of art making when you're painting?
I think so. I really, really, and like I wasn't going to talk about this, but I thought when I was getting ready before we went on air today, I thought, I made a gazillion paintings over the years. But what if this one doesn't work? I don't know if you have that, Mandy. Sometimes you just think,
yes,
I've done it before, but I don't know if I can do it again. You got to put that aside, because if you've done it before, you can do it again. I can wipe this all down and start over again, and it'll be different, but it'll work. Now, one of the things that you can do with a palette knife too is you can draw into it. I don't know if you can see that on the screen or not, but I can draw this way. There's so many crazy grass.
I love no matter how many paintings you do or how many demonstrations you do, like I teach online all the time myself, and I always get a little bit of that nerve, right before it starts. Like I'm teaching a composition workshop later tonight with the School of Atelier Arts, and I'm just a little bit nervous already, and it's not even, it's hours away still.
And that's nuts, we're always worried about the fraud police.
Yes.
Okay, now remember before I said, if we have here, let's put, if we're going to put blue, your sky, particularly during the day, your sky is going to be lighter at the horizon. So I can come in here and chisel out some of the places. I don't want to go all the way across. I want this kind of, smushy here and smushy here, but maybe right in here, maybe I can get some little bit harder lines. And then
Smushy
I can come in.
Official term, right?
I'm sorry?
Smushy is an official term, right? Smushy?
Yeah, it's one I use. I got several others too, but I won't bring them up. But then if I put blue in here, I want to make sure again that I throw some blue in here. It might work, it might not. Well, he's going to mix in with that yellow, so it's going to really, visually, it's going to read as a green. Now you notice I've got bare canvas here. I'm okay with that. I don't mind having some open areas if they work. They become an element. This is an element. This is an element, in other words, that has weight. It is part of the whole composition. This one I'm not real nuts about, but I can come in and, take that. I can do the same thing over here. Our focus is, I want our focus to be in here. So I'm going to put just some thin lines in there. I'm going to mix up just a light gray, actually. I have black on my palette. Black is one of those things that you can really overuse, but if you use it somewhat judiciously, you can do some really wonderful things. Sometimes you just have when you can end up with just too much color, just something neutral gray in there.
If there's one thing I've learned
just
about
an extra element.
is that you do not subscribe to any sort of like hard and fast rules. Like we have white canvas, we have black on our palette, we have all these things that some of us have heard maybe throughout our painting career. You have to cover your whole canvas or never use black on your palette, or these really strict rules. And you're like, forget all that, joy in painting, throw paint down on the canvas, make two paintings in an hour.
I think it's important when you're learning to follow the rules. Because there's a reason for the rules. But the more you do it, the more confident you get, then you start saying, well, yeah, but what if I did this? Or what if I did that? And what am I going to do here? How much time we have?
You have 4 minutes, my friend.
4 minutes is perfect.
See, you're the only one that says 4 minutes is perfect.
I want to break. I want to come down. I'm bringing some of this. This is actually a cad orange and white mixture that I'm going to. It's going to just kind of break into that. Let's see. It would be nice if we had just a little something in here. I don't want it to say, "Hey, look at me." I just want it to be another part of this painting. Let me know when we got 1 minute.
I am like, I can't wait to see what you do with 1 minute. Like I've seen you paint 2 paintings in the last 45 minutes.
So I'm going to run, what I'm going to do is I'm going to accentuate, the way you make, there's oftentimes we say, well, I can't get this any lighter. Well, the way you make something lighter is you put something dark against it. So I can make this all look lighter by making the sky up above a little darker. This is an ultramarine blue. This is not ultramarine blue. I shouldn't say that. I've got all these tubes of paint that people have given me over the years, and some of them, they got weird names. I don't know what they are. It's like an ultramarine. I'm kind of liking that. Okay, now what I want to do is I want your eye to come in here, so I'm just going to throw in some white so that your eye goes in this area. So I don't know how much time we have left, but that's enough.
Okay, well.
Then I would do that, and that's okay. So what I would do is cut it down to fit the frame and throw it away I don't need and keep the rest of it. That looks great on the screen.
It looks fabulous on the screen. That frame.
I can shift over. I could do this too. That works. And I think, sometimes it might be, it might not be too bad either. I think I like better as a horizontal. So, ta-da! That's it.
You have blown my mind today, Lon. I have never seen anybody do what you did in 1 hour demonstration before. You have totally expanded my horizons on what a demonstration can be. Thank you.
No, you're too young to remember this, but a lot of the audience will. In the old days, when Ed Sullivan was on TVs on Sunday evenings, one of the acts that he often had on was the plate spinner, and the guy would come onto the stage and he'd have all these sticks and he'd spin plates and they would spin like this, and he'd have one of them spinning over here and spinning over here, and he'd keep spinning them and they'd start to slow down and he'd have to go to spin them. This is kind of like that. So.
I love your analogies. Fabulous. We talked about theater. What was the mise en scène?
Mise en scène. Yeah, look it up.
Excellent. I love these analogies because the arts aren't arts alone. They're a part of a bigger story, and they really interconnect. So thanks for bringing that.
You bet. So.
All right. So just a reminder for everybody today, our guest is Lon Brauer. You can look at his website at 𝗠𝗏𝗏𝗏.com and follow him on Instagram at Lon Brauer. And of course, Lon's got videos on painttube.tv, one on abstract figure painting and another one on portraits painting with movement. Thank you so much, Lon, for being here today. It's been wonderful watching.
There you are. I don't know. Yeah. All right. It's been fun. Thanks a lot. It's good to meet you, and have a good day.
Same. True joy to watch you paint.
Ta-ta.
All right. I also have a gift for those of you watching today. So you can download this free video, 97 Incredible Art Secrets. Go to 97artsecrets.com/ASL. And don't forget to sign up for Acrylic Live, March 26th through 28th, 2025, with Essential Techniques Day on March 25th. So it's 4 days of premium instruction in acrylic painting. And let's watch this short video. And of course, if you haven't signed up yet for the Plein Air Convention and Expo yet, it is time to do so. The prices go up tomorrow night, so do it today. Today's guest, Lon Brauer, and 80 other instructors will be there. So PACE is on May 19th through 25th, and you don't want to miss it. You can sign up at pleinairconvention.com/ASL. And everyone, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and at Art School Live on YouTube and at Eric Rhodes on Instagram. Again, my name's Mandy Tice. I am the director of the School of Atelier Arts, and you can follow me on social media at Mandy Fine Artist. If you're interested in joining my composition workshop tonight, you can find a link on my YouTube channel at School of Atelier Arts. Thanks everybody for coming today, and I hope to see you tomorrow.